right, Juan, your quarterlies look very good.
So how are things going at the supermarket?
I told you I couldn't close it, so.
So you've come to the master for guidance. Alright, well, let me show you how it's done. Alright, done deal. Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. My mistake. That was a woman I was talking to. She had a very low voice, probably a smoker. So that's the way it's done. I've been at Munder Dicklin for 12 years as regional manager. If you just come this way. So we've got the whole floor as far as the eye can see. This is my kingdom. And here we have Kathleen, our receptionist. Kathleen has been with us for forever, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Any messages?
Yeah, Jan from corporate is coming in today.
Okay, got it. Are you finished using this?
Sure.
Kobe. Anyway, moving on.
You know, you could have recycled that.
Come on. People say I'm the best boss. I think this pretty much sums it up. I bought it at Spencer's Gifts, so. And this is Juan, our #1 numbers guy.
My job is to speak to clients on the phone about quantities and types of water bottles, whether we can supply them and whether they can pay for it. And God, I'm boring myself just talking about this.
All right. Oh, and this is Evan. Evan, what is that?
Nothing. This is my hydration retention device. I read on Laudato Si that control of water by large multinational businesses may become a major source of conflict in this century. In the event that the water supply becomes unusable, which it will, I'll be prepared. Have my own water supply.
Apparently Jan is coming in today from corporate to talk to us about a new line of products we're releasing. Yeah, I'm not really too keen on the whole reusable water bottle thing. I mean, why would I carry water around if I could just easily get it in a cup? Besides, only tree huggers use water bottles.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm here to introduce you to our new line of reusable water bottles. Sales of single-use plastics have been going down recently, and so, to stay ahead of the market, we are establishing this new line.
Question.
Yes,
Have our manufacturers tested the reusability of the reusable water bottles?
I'm sure they have.
I have a question, Jan. How do we know that this is what consumers want? I mean, I know I throw away plastic water bottles every day, and it has no effect on me. How do we know that?
You know, Fiona, this is actually really important. Did you know that all plastics that have been manufactured are still on this earth today?
Really?
Yeah, and the plastic that we don't recycle usually ends up in the oceans or in landfills.
Well, I agree with that, Kathleen. This line of bottles is just to keep up with consumer demands. I'm sure it's just a fad. Our green initiative will be going back to selling disposable water bottles by next quarter. Alright, Kathleen, I'm putting you in charge of distributing bottles to our employees. I think that's enough for now. Get back to work.
Yeah, I really do think that sustainability is important. I'm very environmentally conscious, so I think that the new line of water bottles will really help business.
It doesn't make that much of a difference to me whether single-use or reusable when it comes to water bottles, but from an economic standpoint, the Green Initiative is definitely helping business. See, water is a commodity in itself, and these single-use water bottles allow for much less of a long-term use when compared to their reusable counterparts, so we can charge significantly more for those, plus get some free advertising with our logo on it thrown in there for good measure.
Fiona's been acting really weird lately. After Jan's conference, she was walking around with a recycle bin like a maniac, collecting everyone's plastic water bottles. After that, she locked herself in her office for 3 hours. I don't get it.
We are killing the earth. Everybody in the conference room, 20 minutes. No, you know what? Everybody in the conference room now. Let's go, now.
Look around you. Look at each other. You. We are solely responsible for the damage we're doing to this environment. We have turned this into this. Look at all the animals we're killing. Whales. Dogs. Frogs.
All those animals are alive.
And whatever this is.
Fiona, those are animated characters.
Not important, Mom. Anyway, I've made a video, and I want you all to pay attention and learn something. Just play the video.
Welcome to How Mother Dipper Can Save the Earth. I'm Fiona Gain. I'm manager Fiona Gain. With my team of experts, I can show you how to save the Earth. How to save the Earth. Which one should I do?
And now, here's Kathleen to explain to you the life cycle of plastics. Take it away.
Hi, are you recording? Hi, I'm Kathleen. Hi, I'm Kathleen. Hi, I'm Kathleen, and I'm going to be showing you the life cycle of plastics. First, we extract the oil from the earth. Then the oil is cleaned at a refinery. At a plastic factory, the oil is transformed into pellets, then bottle preforms. The preforms are then transformed into plastic bottles. The bottles are ready to be transported to the store, and you purchase them and take them to your home. Almost always, most of the plastic bottles are thrown in the trash and end up in landfills. As environmentalists, we should instead recycle the bottles, which are brought to the factory and then are used for other items such as carpets, fleece, and other plastic items. If we don't recycle plastics, they can end up in places such as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch or on your local beaches, or they can also harm animals as well.
There's 3 main reasons why plastic water bottles are not a good choice. First of all, it's a waste of money. Most of the water that's in plastic water bottles, disposable plastic water bottles, is taken from the tap anyway. It's just filtered tap water. So basically you're paying for something that is essentially free. Second of all, it's bad for your health. People are concerned about tap water not being safe. Well, actually tap water is more regulated than bottled water. Bottled water companies, they don't have to have the same standards that tap water has. Tap water is checked by municipalities constantly, many times a day, to look for things like E. coli and other types of contamination, where they have found all kinds of contamination in plastic water bottles because it's not regulated. Also, it's bad for your health because these disposable plastics leach BPAs into the water, which are endocrine disruptors, and they mimic hormones such as estrogen. And this is particularly bad if you are a male, because you don't want to have any estrogen in your system unless you want to have testicular cancer or prostate cancer or become feminized in terms of man breast and low sperm count. But it's also contributing to infertility problems with women and increased risk of breast cancer with women, especially after they reach menopause. And finally, it is just a huge waste in terms of environmental damage, because plastic has been made so that it doesn't biodegrade. And so essentially every bit of plastic that's ever been produced, except for a little bit that has been incinerated, is still here and will be here long after we're gone. So the fact that, you know, we're throwing away 1,500 water bottles per second, if you can just imagine every second and picture in your mind that many water bottles and what it's going to look like in the very near future. in terms of plastic basically living on a plastic planet. And I just don't get it, because people usually drink out of plastic water bottles and paying all this money just for a matter of convenience. And so you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your wallet, and you're hurting the planet just for a little tiny bit of convenience that you could solve by simply carrying around your own water bottle. You're saving money, you're saving the environment, and it's better for your health.
I mean, water is something we all need, right? If there's one thing no one can live without, it's water. Here in the US, we oftentimes take water for granted because all we have to do is open a tap or go buy a plastic bottle to quench our thirst. In less developed countries, sometimes they have to fight for water or walk dozens of miles just to gather what they can carry on their backs. It's a sad reality. The saddest part is that we are guilty of making this reality even worse. We meaning the developed country, of course. For example, big companies like Coca-Cola take advantage of the adverse situation in countries like Kenya by charging ridiculous amounts of money for portable water bottles just because they have a monopoly on water in that country. Water is not and should not be an economic good, and it is not something to make a profit off of. It is a necessity and a right for every living person, and it just isn't fair that big companies get to take advantage of the little guy for their own personal gain.
Hello, my name is Evan Curry. This past week I was on Twitter because I followed Pope Francis on it, and he tweeted, "The time for global solutions is running out." And I thought to myself, yes, it is running out. Desperate for answers, I turned to the only thing I knew had the answers, the Bible. And I found the most intriguing verse in the book of Psalms, and it said, "The earth is the Lord's and all it contains. The earth isn't even ours, but still we treat it with such indecency." Laudato Si says that this earth is our common home and we must treat it with care. And not only do we see this in the Pope's encyclical, but we also see this in Jesus' life. Throughout the gospel, he constantly praises nature. Matthew chapter 6, John chapter 15, Mark chapter 4. And likewise, as Christians, we should do the same. Pope Francis says in his encyclical that the earth is constantly caring for us. Therefore, we must constantly care for the earth. Environmental destruction comes from the same root that leads to social destruction, moral relativity. There is a set good and bad. In the creation stories, after God creates every single creature, he says it is good. Our God himself is good. Care for the environment is a matter of intergenerational life. It starts with us and it affects the next generation, the next generation, and the next generation. In addition to that, pollution not only hurts generations, but it also hurts the poor. And because of that, they don't even have access to clean drinking water.
Based on Laudato Si, how are we supposed to fulfill our responsibility to the environment?
I think what Francis is asking us to do is to be good stewards of the environment. One of the things he talks about in Laudato Si is this idea of covenant and the covenant experience, which all of us know goes back to the Adam and Eve story. And I think it reminds us once again that from very early on of creation, when humans came into being, that we were called to be caretakers for the earth. And I think Francis is bringing us back to that and to remind us that we're responsible.
And what does he say about how we should view our relationship to nature and our social environment?
We certainly we go hand in hand together. And I think, again, it goes back to the Genesis story of that we were made in the garden and all was one, and it's just we are interdependent upon creation. And if we destroy creation, then the future generations will suffer, both physically, emotionally, and who knows? I mean, maybe even come to a time when we experience what Revelation is calling us to, the end times, and we may have created the end times if we're not careful and aren't aware.
And what does Pope Francis mean when he speaks of the throwaway culture?
Again, I go back to my science classes when I was your age in high school, and one of the big things that was that our science teachers were making us aware of in terms of the environment's ecology was packaging of our CDs were coming in these big huge packages with saran wrap and cardboard and papers and slips and all of that, and I think it's that idea that we just throw everything away. Even the care and concern of water, how we Americans in particular just will take a 10-minute, 15-minute shower and just leave the water running, and it just pours over us. And, well, we forget that clean, fresh water is not inexhaustible. There's only a limited amount of clean water.
Water. It's life's most basic need. But there's a water crisis in our world right now. Seriously, a crisis. Nearly 1 billion people live without clean drinking water. It's happening all over the world, especially in developing areas of sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. It's a water crisis because it starts with water. But water affects everything. Education, health, poverty, and especially women and children. Let's look at a family caught in the water crisis. It's likely they live on less than $1 a day. When they're thirsty, they can't just turn on the faucet for a nice cold glass of water. They don't have a faucet. Instead, the women and children go off to collect water. Many walk up to 3 hours a day to the nearest swamp, pond, or river to gather water that's been sitting out in the open, exposed to all kinds of germs. Time spent gathering water is time they can't spend learning to read, write, earn an income, or take care of their family. Some women in sub-Saharan Africa spend more time collecting water than any other activity they do in the day. And the walk isn't just hard, it's dangerous. The women are alone and burdened with 40 pounds of water. Many get hurt. Sometimes they're even attacked. When they make it home, the little water they've collected isn't clean. Some families know their water is contaminated with germs that cause diarrhea, dehydration, even death. But what choice do they have? Kids, especially babies, are affected most by these germs. About every 19 seconds, a mother loses one of her children to a water-related illness. And each day, almost 1 billion people are living this way.
Hey, so what's been up with Fiona?
Honestly, I think it's because of the conference. She's been really bummed out ever since she found out that the Earth is dying or whatever. She's been like this for a few days. I don't know how to make her feel better.
I think I know what to do. So I was researching a little bit about how to make a difference when it comes to this whole water bottle thing, to make Fiona feel better. And I came across this process called See, Judge, Act. Now Fiona's already done most of the seeing and the judging, so I think it's time for us to act. Hey Fiona, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. No, I'm not fine, Juan. What's the point?
The Earth is dying anyway.
Here, I think I know what will make you feel better. Let's go.
Where are we going?
Doesn't matter, don't worry about it. Come on, let's go.